Hello again, juniors. We're going to take a look next at the Rights of Workers form. Let me get that pulled up here. All right, so started off saying the economy must serve the people, not the other way around. People was the answer there because the economy is not, we're not there to serve the economy. It has to be people focused, and you're going to see that a lot in Catholic teaching. Work is more than a way to make a living. It's a form of continuing participation in God's creation. Again, that goes back to the Genesis story when God gave the responsibility to till the earth and to nurture the garden to Adam and Eve. Which of the following are considered basic rights of workers? And so some of you got thrown by this, but there should have been 5 of them here. Most of you got it. So let's take a look. One is the right to productive work. Another is the right to organize and join unions or associations. The other is a right to decent and fair wages. And then a right to private property and a right to economic initiative. That's like to be able to buy shares in the company or to have experience for professional development or advancement within your field. All right, this one answers varied. You were supposed to choose 2 of these, and I listed all the scripture verses and they were linked on the document. If you would have just clicked on it, you could have copied and pasted it in there. So some of you did this, some of you just got a little lazy on it, but essentially if you gave a good representation as to why that specific verse had to do with the dignity of work or the rights of workers, I give you credit for that. Okay, we were created with a vocation to work. The goal should not be that technological progress increase or replace human work, for this would be detrimental to humanity. This was a quote from Pope Francis in the document Laudato Si. And I, of course, linked it to this technology learning platform situation that we were all thrown into this year. So I asked you, do you agree or disagree with the statement about work, or in our case, schoolwork? And I had some really thoughtful responses. Some of you agreed completely that you really can't ever completely replace the human person with technology. Others said they were somewhere in the middle where they see that it's a big need, and they think that the more technology we have, actually the more jobs, the more people will need to back those technologies up. And then some people were opposed to this. They said, no, the technology is the future, and yes, it might, I don't think it's detrimental to humanity at all, and blah, blah, blah. So as long as you gave a good, reasonable response to that, I gave you credit, no matter what your opinion was. But I think what the Pope was really trying to get at is the goal of technology cannot be to replace humanity. Again, goes back to we need to be focused on the human person. That's what we're about as Christians. All right. Helping the poor financially must always be a provisional solution in the face of pressing needs. So provisional means like backup. Like, yes, it's something that we sometimes need to do is give someone food when they're hungry, or give someone money when they need to pay a bill. But the overall broader objective, the big goal, should be to allow them to work for their own wages and to make sure that they have a dignified life through that work. Most of you did great on that one. Okay, blank requires decisions, programs, mechanisms, processes specifically geared to a better distribution of income. The answer here was growth in justice. I think if you looked at the video, if you looked at the document, you would have seen this as a direct quote. Some of you maybe just guessed economic growth because we were talking about the economy, but no. So what Pope Francis is trying to say is that this is a big problem. It's got a lot in it. And justice, remember, when we were talking about this in the last video, is fairness, giving to everyone what they're due. So we give glory to God because he's God. We try to help out the poor and give them rightful work, or all people, and make sure they have rightful, dignified work, because that's the just, the fair thing to do. It's what we're all owed. All right. The primary, growth and justice. Sorry. All right, so the primary capital to be safeguarded and valued is man, the human person. Again, you're gonna hear that theme over and over. It has to be about the people, not about just the economy, not about just this other principle, but it always has to be people-based. Most of you got that one. In many cases, poverty was the answer here, results from a violation of the dignity of human work, either because work opportunities are limited, so there's underemployment, there's not enough jobs to go around, or there's no jobs to go around, or because there's a low value put on work and the workers themselves and their rights. So in general, when you look at a society where the workers are treated like trash, or they don't have proper working conditions, or they're not given a just wage, you're going to see impoverished societies. When you see a place where workers are well respected, they're given lots of benefits, they're given plenty of time for rights, or the rights of rest and leisure and vacation time and things like that, you're going to see a more prosperous nation. So those things go hand in hand. All right, this was a quote, and then you were supposed to describe it in your own words, and then I gave you a hint to look back at the document because it's a direct quote from that, and I talked about it. So the obligation to earn one's bread by the sweat of one's brow also presumes the right to do so. Some of you got a little caught up in that language and didn't quite understand this. All they're saying is we are obliged to work, to work for our keep. You know, that's what it means by earn one's bread, earn one's money by the sweat of one's brow. We need to labor, we need to work for it. And that's our responsibility as human persons put on this earth to till, to work, all those things by God. But that presumes that we have the right to do so. There are some societies where they're not allowing people to get a job. And so that's what it's talking about, is you have to, first of all, have the right to work in order to also be able to fulfill your responsibility to work. And there's other ways that we're called to work as well within our vocations of marriage or religious life, whatever that ends up being. So some of you did okay here. I just wanted to clarify because some were just way off or not understanding that at all. All people have the right to economic initiative, to productive work, to just wages and benefits, to decent working conditions was the answer here. So those are just lists of all the things the Catholic bishop says that are part of the rights of people who work. Man must work, both because the Creator has commanded it and because of his own humanity, which requires work in order to be maintained and developed. And so it's good for us to work. That's how we flourish. That's how we become who we are. That's how we learn about our skills and all of those things. So man must work because it's a command by God. He said, till the earth, work it, help it to multiply. All right, so there's this quote here in the document Laborum Exercens on Human Work by St. John Paul II, and he describes a trade union. You should have looked right back in the document for that definition. Again, some of you were off, some of you just Googled it. Fine, I probably gave you credit for that because I've been grading pretty easily. I don't know if you noticed. All right, so let me find a good one here. Basically, associations that defend vital interests of those employed or various professions. Yeah, that's pretty much associations by which employees can ensure that they are being properly treated with fair wages, good working conditions, something along those lines. Some of you were off though. Some of you said trading with others, labor. No, you need to know what a trade union is, and some of the answers were off. So make sure you know what that is. Okay, people have the right to work, to a chance to develop their qualities. This one, I wanted you to pick the best summary. Their personalities and the exercises of their professions, to equitable remuneration, I feel like that should be, which all enable them and their families to lead a worthy life in the material, social, cultural, and spiritual level. The one you should have picked was this one that most of you did, but only 75%. Humanity should be guaranteed the right to gainful employment. That means employment that meets your skill level, that pays you justly, all those things. A chance to grow in the skill, right, with proper training. So this opportunity to, work towards a greater thing. A fair wage, okay, that means getting paid a good amount for the work that you're providing so that you can flourish economically, socially, spiritually. That's the one we should have picked. All right, then you guys watched another short video. We'll just go through these answers really briefly. Work is God's gift to us, not burden, gift, responsibility, but also gift. Catholic teaching holds that workers have the right to dignified work as well as to time for leisure and rest. Catholic teaching also holds that workers have responsibilities, and so if we are agreeing to do a certain amount of work for a certain amount of pay, we need to put in that work. I had this other word here. You guys all got 100%, so way to go. This other word, shirk, that's a real word. Shirking is when you show up to a job where you just sort of blow it off or waste your employer's time and still collect your paycheck. So that would be the opposite of what you should be doing in a just work situation. You need to, it's fair to give your employer what they're asking for in exchange for your paycheck. It can be helpful to think back. Okay, so this is looking at the rights of all workers and justice in the whole line of the economic chain, if you will. So to think back, I went to Starbucks yesterday and I got a delicious latte. But to be able to think back, okay, the barista is the person who just handed me or made the drink, or maybe it's the cashier or whatever. But think back to the people who actually roasted the beans. And then before, and maybe the people that packaged the beans, and then the people that roasted them. And then to the farmers, which was the answer here. Or then just thinking about all of these workers that are in the process for how we get our products and our goods and our services, and how every decision we make in the economic sphere affects those people. And the next one's related. That says, as consumers, we need to be aware that really every purchasing decision is a moral decision, okay? So we can purchase ethically and produce products or fair trade products. Fair trade is going to be your little bonus on this one, the word fair trade. And you can either just text me the word, or I'll give you a bonus if you look up a good definition for what fair trade means and then send me that definition. So you could get double bonus or just the one. Okay, then there were some actual bonus questions on here. We'll go over those really quick. Caritas in Veritate is the document where this quote came from. So some of you, I could tell, just looked back at the document and found it. Some of you just Googled it and found the document that way, whatever way. But some of you, we were kind of all over the place there. Caritatis in Veritate was correct. And then my kids bust in on that video that I was making, and I asked if they could play Minecraft. That was the answer to that. And I told them to go outside in a stern voice, because I'm kind of become a mean mom when I'm home teaching my kids. It's like a work factory. That's another bonus word for this one. The word factory, F-A-C-T-O-R-Y. Go ahead and send the word factory to me and I'll give you another point, because why not? I'm feeling generous. Have a good night. Oh, I gotta stop doing this. Bye, y'all.